The Silent Watcher. The village of Ravenbrook had always been quiet, nestled between dark, towering forests and endless fields. Life moved at a slow pace, and the people liked it that way. That was until the Silent Watcher appeared. No one knew exactly when it started. Some claimed they saw a figure standing at the edge of the forest late at night, tall and unmoving. Others dismissed it as tricks of the moonlight, but the sightings became frequent. The figure never moved, never made a sound. It only watched. One evening, Thomas, a young blacksmith's apprentice, walked home from the forge, wiping soot from his hands. He had heard the rumors but never believed them, until that night. As he passed the last house before the forest, a chill crept up his spine. He turned his head, and there, just beyond the trees, stood the Watcher. It was draped in a dark cloak, its face hidden beneath a hood. The only thing visible was the outline of its form, perfectly still. Thomas froze. His breath hitched, his instincts screamed at him to run, but something held him in place. The figure did not move, did not step forward. It only stared. With a shaking breath, he took a step back, then another. As soon as he moved, the Watcher disappeared into the trees as if it had never been there. That night, Thomas barely slept. His mind replayed what he had seen, but the next morning the village carried on as if nothing was wrong. When he mentioned it to his friends, they only shrugged. "It's just a trick of the mind," one said. "A shadow in the trees," another added. But Thomas knew what he saw. A few nights later, it happened again. This time, it was Margaret, the baker's daughter. She had been returning from the well when she saw it standing near the old oak tree. Unlike Thomas, she screamed, waking half the village. When people rushed out with lanterns, the figure was gone. Now, the villagers couldn't ignore it. The Watcher was real. People became cautious, locking their doors earlier, whispering in hushed voices. Who was it? What did it want? No one had answers, and the uncertainty made the fear worse. Then came the night of the storm. Thunder roared above Ravenbrook, rain hammering down in thick sheets. Most people stayed indoors, but Thomas, restless and unable to sleep, sat by his window, watching the trees. Lightning split the sky, and for a brief second he saw the Watcher. But this time it was closer, right in the middle of the village square. Thomas's heart pounded. He grabbed a lantern and ran out before his fear could stop him. Rain soaked his clothes, but he didn't care. He had to know. When he reached the square, he expected the figure to vanish like before. But it didn't. It stood there, waiting. Thomas gripped the lantern tighter. "Who are you?" he called out. No answer. A gust of wind blew, and for the first time, the Watcher moved, slowly, deliberately. It raised a hand and pointed. Thomas followed its direction. The old well. His mouth went dry. What's in the well? The Watcher remained silent. Then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, it stepped backward and melted into the darkness. Thomas stood there, rain dripping from his hair. His heart told him to run home, to forget what he had seen. But his feet carried him toward the well. He held up his lantern and peered inside. At first, he saw nothing but darkness. Then, something glimmered. Something deep below. He swallowed hard. The village well had been there for generations, always providing clean water. But no one ever looked too far down. Shaking, he found a rope and bucket and lowered it. When he pulled it back up, his breath caught in his throat. A small, rusted locket lay at the bottom of the bucket. He wiped away the grime and opened it. Inside was a tiny, faded portrait of a woman. Lightning flashed again, illuminating the square, and for just a heartbeat, he saw the watcher standing at the edge of the forest. Then it was gone. Thomas clutched the locket and ran home. The next morning, he took the locket to the village elder, an old woman named Eliza. When she saw it, her face turned pale. "Where did you find this?" she whispered. Thomas hesitated. "In the well." Eliza's hands trembled. This belonged to Evelyn." "Who's Evelyn?" The room fell silent. Then Eliza sighed. "Many years ago, before you were born, a young woman named Evelyn lived in this village. One day, she vanished without a trace. We searched everywhere, but she was never found." Thomas's blood ran cold. "You think she's in the well?" Eliza's eyes filled with sorrow. "Perhaps." That night, the village gathered at the well, lanterns casting long shadows. A few brave men descended with ropes and torches. What they found made the entire village shudder. At the bottom of the well, buried beneath years of dirt and rubble, were bones. Human bones. Evelyn had never left. As the village mourned, Thomas stood apart, gripping the locket. The watcher had led him here. Had it been Evelyn's spirit? A guardian? He would never know for sure. But as the days passed and the village laid Evelyn to rest, something changed. The watcher never appeared again. And for the first time in a long while, Ravenbrook was truly at peace.